The nearly 200 new laws starting today. Some are new traffic laws.
Attorney Lance Northcutt of Salvi, Shostak, and Pritchard talking about it today. Happy New Year to you, Lance.
Happy New Year, Sean, and hello again, Gaynor.
Hello, Lance.
Let's talk about these traffic laws specifically. We have like 185 new laws going into effect today. Many of them are, in fact, these traffic laws. Let's start with carjacking. So many, 1,300 carjackings in the city of Chicago in 2022, and now we have state legislation that's geared towards that.
It's the carjackings in Chicago, as we know, and as we've heard, is really turned into an enormous concern. And one of the things that people don't realize is very often when people are victimized in this way, to add insult to injury, not only are they victims of the initial crime, but the criminals who end up taking the cars and holding on to them are very often committing other crimes. And so, as you can imagine, if you're speeding, you're going to run into red light cameras and speeding cameras and toll violations. And so it doesn't seem obvious to think of, but someone who is the owner of a car, the registered owner of a car, would be liable for those unless there's some intervention. And very often, at a time when a crime victim really doesn't want to deal with state agencies or city agencies, they have to sift through all of the administrivia to show that they weren't the ones committing these traffic violations. It was the criminal who took their car. So this is a bill that's aimed at kind of streamlining that to ensure that these victims get relief and that they're not paying for the traffic violations of the criminals who took their cars.
So other new laws going into effect include new standards for driver education. Can you talk about that, Lance?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that we've seen throughout the development of traffic safety education and driver's ed is kind of a patchwork of laws that vary from state to state. And what's happened now is a push on a national level to standardize that training, that driver's education curriculum. And so Illinois is going to adopt those national standards in addition to the state curriculum that they usually teach. And so now going forward, there's going to be a uniform standard that looks at things like cognitive, physiological, psychological aspects of safe driving, particularly targeting young drivers. Who, as you can imagine, account for a disproportionate number of preventable accidents.
Along the same lines, education, we have the school safety zones. Obviously, we have many laws already in effect as far as staying within a certain speed limit in school zones, especially when students are around. But now there's a whole new aspect to the fine that we could get.
And not just the fine, Sean, but community service. And so typically if someone thinks about a traffic violation, even in a school zone, they think about it as a fine, something that you might be able to mail in. That's not going to be the case anymore. If you're cited for a school zone violation, whether it's speeding in excess of 20 miles an hour or failing to stop at a stop sign where there's children present, then you're going to be in a situation where you do have to go to court, and the judge is required by this legislation to impose a period of community service for a time period left at the discretion of the court. And so that's something that's really designed to get people's attention and make them think twice that this is something that if in a moment's haste they decide they're going to speed or go around a stop sign when there's kids present, it's not just going to be a matter of a hefty fine that they're going to have to pay. It's going to be something where they have to go into court and they're going to have to do community service if they're found guilty. So it's a welcome change in the law.
Attorney Lance Northcutt. Lance, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Happy New Year, guys.